Welcome everyone to another very special, I say it a lot, episode of I Love This, You Should Too. My name is indeed too sleepy to think of a nickname, Randawa, and with me is my lovely and also sleepy co-host. It's Samantha Randawa, everybody.
I'm just a little drunk, so here we go.
Just a little. So we are doing this episode, as we say, live-ish from the Edmonton Folk Music Festival. And it is around midnight. We've been out for not 12 hours, only like 10 hours or so. But let's kind of go through a little recap.
So we started the day on Thursday at the sponsor reception, and we got to see some people give some speeches about how great the Folkfest is, and we agree.
Yeah, I think this might be the year the indie drinks the Kool-Aid year. And all of you cult nerds out there are going to it's Flavor Aid. I know it was Flavor Aid, but...
We know.
But there is kind of, there's definitely a community around the Edmonton Folk Music Festival, and when you don't go to it all the time and you see two people who do go to it start talking, I get why it is annoying to you. It was annoying to me for a very long time. But this is the year where I think I hit a turning point of seeing the upside of the community, seeing like it's a community where it's the opposite of exclusive. If you don't know something and someone who comes for 30 years does, they are so happy to share it with you. And we'll probably talk about some of that kind of stuff. But this is the year we're like, okay, I get it. I still probably won't talk about it outside of the festival as much as some people, like Camp Friends. It's a big Camp Friends kind of
That is exactly how it is, yeah.
environment around it. But I'm getting it more and more. And I think going to the Calgary one and talking to some people there who had been going for a long time and how they told us that we kind of reinvigorated their love of it because we had a new perspective. I'm kind of maybe doing the same this year.
Yeah.
So far, we're not that far in, but it's been pretty great. So we got to kind of see some of that in that little reception we went to. But then it was off to the site, and our first band was Orchestra Gold. And I'm actually going to hold off comment because I saw them again and I want to talk about them more there. But how did you like that show?
It was a great show. It was a great way to kick off the weekend, and like you were saying, it is like camp. That kind of is how it feels. And you see these friends once a year, and like even tonight on Friday night when we were on our way to the party, we were seeing people in the bus, and I got stuck chatting with people, and it just like it's so nice to get to see these people every year, and it's nice for me to be able to share it with Indy, and then also to have like new people come in. And I received a phone call today that was like, I'm at my first Folkfest and I don't know what to do. And I was like, I'm so happy to be people's phone calls when they need help. So it's such a beautiful thing, this Folkfest. But Orchestra Gold was amazing, and we had so much fun.
And I'm the opposite. I don't have camp friends. I don't really talk to people here. But what I do is go to side stages and get a good seat right at the and wait ahead of time. And people are like, "Oh, who's playing here?" And then I chat with them and I make my friends like that.
Yeah.
And I don't see them again, but we chat for that show. Headlining the opening night was Black Pumas, the band probably that I was most excited to see ahead of time.
Yeah.
So walk us through that one. How'd you feel?
They were so dancey. Everyone was on their feet. We were a little ways back for that show, but it was just amazing to see the entire crowd up on their feet dancing, and to see just like everybody interacting with the music, and it was just like such a wonderful first night of Folkfest.
Black Pumas, I don't know if I can say enough good things. When I listen to a lot of music, like if I'm listening to some rock, I always feel like, oh, if I had talent, which I don't, if I had talent, I would make this heavier. I would make it this way. Black Pumas are the band where, like, if I could sing like that man, I don't think of a better way to use that voice than what he is currently doing. It's very, very, very much up my alley of the type of music I listen to and the type of influences they have. I could not do more with that voice. Oh, and we are here in a hotel lobby getting ready for a party, so that explains the noise around us. Let's go now into Friday, and I got to do another kind of a Folkfest institution that I've gotten away without doing. I got to do my first tarp run. And I think we should get into stuff like this, because we just do music reviews on this. We get to talk about the festival, because I think that's something, it's unique, it's special, and I'm kind of getting on board with it being unique and special. So tell us what a tarp run is.
They discourage you from running now, so they call it the tarp lottery. But we show up a couple hours before the gates open, and you get colored tickets as you enter a corral, and then your tickets are drawn and you're sorted into lines, and that's the order that you get sent up the hill to lay your tarp down. And I've been doing it for years. I got up at 6 in the morning many, many years in a row in order to run a tarp, and I've had some pretty cool spots on the hill, but this was fun because it's been years since I've run a tarp, and it's nice to know that I've still got it.
And even before that, if people are listening from another city that doesn't have a festival like this, you take a tarp, pin it to the ground, and that's your spot for the day, at the main stage at least. And then there's multiple stages. We're doing this podcast kind of backwards. We're coming in hot because we just finished a full day of listening to music, but we should have started with things like that. There's multiple stages. This is held on a ski hill in the summertime, so all of the ski runs are stages now.
Yeah.
And on the main stage, you get to stake out a place for the day, and this lottery system is the process of it. And I learned all the tips of getting multiple people to get different tickets, and then you trade tickets with people. I was the second for one going, so I didn't get called until so long, and I actually traded for the ticket that got me in, so my ticket still hadn't been called. Or actually, that was your ticket. You took my good ticket.
Yeah.
That was a good ticket.
It was a good ticket.
So after many, many hours, and honestly at times I was like, I don't think this is worth it. But then it turns out it was. So we split up initially. So do you want to tell me, what did you go see first?
So I went and saw one of my favorite Folkfest artists, Rose Cousins, sing, and she, I feel like you'll really like this, Indy. She has a fan club, and her fan club is called the Impending Mortality Awareness Society. And she just sings real sad songs, but she's got such a beautiful voice, and she plays piano through all of them, and she's just so talented. And I have been listening to her, I realized, since like 2005. And so I am like a long-time fan of hers, and I'm so excited that I got to see her, and she sang some of her older songs and then some of her newer songs. And she sang a really beautiful song about her sister. She sang a really beautiful song about her mother being a farmer's wife, and it was just like it was a beautiful moment of music. What did you see next?
I saw Alpha Yaya Diallo, but I'm not going to talk about him individually because right after that I saw a workshop that was Alpha Yaya Diallo, Black Umfolosi International, and Orchestra Gold. So Orchestra Gold we had seen on the main stage earlier, but I loved how they all played together, so I thought I'd talk about all three of them at this point because Sam also loves to talk about, what do you call it, Folkfest magic?
It's Folkfest magic.
What is Folkfest magic?
It's when you get multiple artists on a stage who have never played together before, and you get to see the talent of these artists because they're able to just join in on each other's songs. Sometimes they haven't even heard the song before. They just know keys and music and beautiful like accompaniment, and you get to see these robust, beautiful moments of music, what you would not hear in a studio with just the original band. So you get to see some little like magic moments of just like intersectionality. Is that what I'm thinking?
Sure, that's in there. And I think this was the most magic of all Folkfest magic moments that I've seen thus far. They all like kind of interchange and they play in each other's songs, but there was kind of a lead on each song. And on the Orchestra Gold song, I get that a lot of people's feelings about psychedelic rock, like it can drone. And I understand that. It gets a little repetitive, but it can hit just right. And when it hits just right, you don't find it droning. You kind of you find that I can sound like a real festival person now. You find that killer bass line and you just groove on it, man. Is that right?
Yeah, you just gotta get those magic moments.
I was gonna say, do I sound like a cop in 1968 pretending to be hep?
Yeah.
You just groove on it, man.
Yeah, you just groove on it.
In this, there were so many times where, you know how they have like breakdowns for, you get to hear like different instruments and they're like, okay, do a solo. Throughout this, because it was that kind of repetitive psychedelic rock music, what they did instead was every person on stage, and I don't know, that was maybe 15, 16 people, they had like a dance circle and everyone came in and did their own little dance.
That's amazing.
So rather than having a solo, and there were solos and stuff came later, everyone took some time to do a dance, and then they ended up having like a high kick contest. There were so many things that were going on that helped this music that maybe isn't the most accessible, that can be repetitive at times. Like, if you have this much to look at, it's fantastic. So they were doing all of that. The youngest person on stage, she was the last one. They're like, okay, you go. And she's like, no. And then, of course, she went and just, like, killed it, because, of course, she did. It was fantastic. And then Alpha Yaya Diallo, when he's playing, he has a dancer on stage with him. She does do some play some instruments as well. I don't know what that instrument is called that is made mostly out of shells, but she plays one of those, and she sings a little bit as well, but much of the time she was dancing, and she would dance in these parts. And I was telling Samantha that we really have to go to the party tomorrow to see Alpha Yaya Diallo, because I know that you like the music that I played. You like my kind of like guitar music. It's fine. It's not your favorite, but you appreciate it.
I like it.
But when he is in concert, it's something else. And all of you like guitar heavy rock and roll nerds, when you're looking for great guitar players, check out some classically trained African guitarists because they just shred.
That's also Folkfest magic, is when it's just so much better in person.
Yeah.
And you just get blown away by someone that you like weren't sure about. You heard them on Spotify, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is incredible.
So he also has this dancer that I was talking about. And when you have those breakdowns in a song where everyone does a solo, they would do that. But it was like congas, and then you'd have a solo from an award-winning classic guitarist. You'd have someone playing a synthy keytar. That got in there as well. And then the dancer would have like a solo dance part. And she was wearing this outfit that was, I don't think it was actual leather, but it was leather-ish. And it has like big padded shoulders, but then also red lace frills. And also it's made much of shells. So she's dancing, and that's the best dancing I've seen at the Edmonton Folk Fest before. So she puts on this amazing show, and then all of them have just this huge variety of things that they gave breakdowns to. But then they would just play some like album-style songs as well. And then you have Black Umfolosi, who is a cappella band. They just sing. They have no instruments. So this is kind of the only time you get to see them sing with a full band. And not only do they get a full band, they get two. So that just fits so naturally because you're giving a score to these musicians. Oh, and they just walked by. There they go.
Oh.
The three of them were in the band, and they were so good. Yeah. So
that's what I love about the parties.
So that was my Folkfest magic moment where I'm like, okay, I get it. And I was just having such a great time dancing with these random strangers that were sitting with me.
Yeah, that's also Folkfest magic, is when you just meet friends and enjoy their time. So after that, I went to a session called Crisis, What Crisis, with Elisa P., Jess Williamson, Rose Cousins, and the Ruin Brothers. And it was funny because the Ruin Brothers were talking about how they were actually having a crisis because their bass player wasn't allowed into the country. And they ended up picking someone up who is a local Edmonton guy who plays bass, and he's playing with them throughout the festival. And it's just like, it's amazing because this guy gets so much exposure and they get to play with a new band member, and everybody sang songs about crises, and it was just like, it was a really cool amalgamation of songs, and everyone was kind of playing along in the background on the stage of the four kind of groups. And yeah, it was a cool little thing to see, and I really enjoyed it.
So then we got to go see Blue Rodeo at the main stage, and we had a nice spot for it. And my sister and brother-in-law were in town, and they're very big fans. What about you? How was Blue Rodeo?
So I've seen Blue Rodeo quite a few times. They're kind of a Folkfest staple. You get to see them every couple of years. I think the last time they were here was 2019. So I realized tonight that I have a lot of memories of seeing Blue Rodeo, but not a lot of memories of Blue Rodeo. I can tell you stories from every time I've seen them, but I cannot tell you more than like 4 of their songs. So it was fantastic. We had so much fun, but I realized that I could do a little bit better at knowing more Blue Rodeo songs.
So this was another of those folk fest things for me, where in the past I was like, well, this is just what we do. Edmonton Folk Fest has Blue Rodeo. And it's not like I didn't like them. I only knew just a few of their songs because everyone did, and I'm just a little too young to like really have been around when they were like, I wasn't quite the right age, so I know the songs, but they didn't really have I wasn't a fan, I guess. But this was the time where I'm like, I get it now. When you are on a hill at night overlooking the city and there are thousands of people all singing Lost Together, you're like, okay, I get it. I'm on board. I'll drink the proverbial Kool-Aid. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really nice, and Indy's sister Charney is so into Blue Rodeo. It's one of her favorite bands, and so it was just so great. I love to see people that I love like getting to live a dream, and that was one of her things, that she wanted to see Blue Rodeo so bad. So it was so great to get to see her be so excited about it. So I'm a Blue Rodeo fan. I've been a Blue Rodeo fan, but it was a magical moment.
And then La Misa Negra came on right after. And that's one that I was very excited for. And with a lot of bands, I feel like nobody really benefits from the main stage. I feel like your audio quality is a little worse. I feel like the giant size of it's just not as good when you're that big of a scale. And with La Misa Negra, I was like, oh no, they need to be on the main stage. That is a main stage act. They took up the full stage. There are, how many people are in that band? 8? I think there's 8, and they are constantly in motion as well. I know on the preview episode I was talking about how they say they have metal influence on it, and in hear that, you see it when it's live. And either the guitar player or the bass player will always trick you between songs and start like playing the first riff from like a Metallica song or something to get everyone going, and then he's like, no, I was just kidding. So you can see that they do appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I missed a little bit of La Misa Negra because I was busy schmoozing backstage, but we could hear them the entire time, and everyone in the backstage area was like moving their shoulders a little bit because it was like so much fun. And I got to come out and see their last couple songs, and they were such a party, and I'm so excited that we get to see them tomorrow night here at the party.
Oh yeah, see, that's the thing. We get to still see them again on a smaller scale, so that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, Samantha, always schmoozing, always backstaging it. I sit in the dirt with the people. That's where I am. That's where you can find me.
You were sitting on a chair.
I was not. I was sitting in the dirt with the people. You know how But you know how I say I won't use a chair. I won't do it. I won't put myself higher than others because I'm a true communist.
And how does your back feel?
My back is great. It's strong. The work makes me stronger.
These are lies.
Through work,
these are lies.
I will find peace. Now I'm just quoting communist propaganda posters. But we are done for the day. We are going now to see Orchestra Gold again.
Yes.
and Hobotown. So we will, I don't know, just talk to you tomorrow, and we will definitely get up bright and early for another day of this, right?
It'll be bright. It may not be early. Hello, everyone, and we are back for day 3 of Edmonton Folk Fest. It is Saturday night, and we are sitting in the family area, which is pretty deserted. So if you hear any noises, it's probably children running by.
Well, and its main stage is still going on, so I'm sure they'll be able to hear that as well.
Yes, there is music in the background. So it's been a hot day, and we are finally cold, which is a nice feeling.
So much of this, I feel like we're doing kind of backwards. We haven't talked about what the festival is, and we're just kind of assuming everyone already knows. But the other day we were talking about some Folkfest secrets, and I'm learning all of that. And yesterday I was very much like drinking the Kool-Aid, and it's not like I've given up on the festival and that I hate it or anything now. Since I was so praising of everything, the other side to all of those is, we did the tarp run where you line up and wait 7 hours to sit somewhere to see something, and then somebody just comes and puts down a chair in front of you and then talks the whole time. And you're like, what? Why did I get up early this morning to come here when someone can just do that?
I even put our tarp somewhere where nobody could sit in front of us, and for some reason they let them. So it was frustrating, but I still love Folkfest.
Me too. But then the other thing, and I think we've been talking about this a lot, especially this year since we just come from Calgary, is the size of the festival. That is its greatest strength and weakness, because I was talking about how it's such a community, and Folkfest, Edmonton Folk Fest fans are diehard. They are here every year. People always talk about how many decades they've been coming to this festival. But there are so many people here. It is a well-supported festival. And I know that's kind of not a legitimate complaint about anything, right? You go to Disneyland and it's going to be crowded. That's how it is. Good things are crowded. If that's an issue for you, there is nothing you can do at the Edmonton Folk Fest that you don't have to wait in line for. You can't just go walk and do something. If you want to go to the bathroom, if you want something to eat, if you want to go just walk 100 meters, people are going to be in your way.
Yeah, so I think this year we were hearing that it's been a record-breaking crowd. Today was about 35,000 people here.
Currently.
Wow. Today. And you can feel it. I know that like everyone I've talked to who goes to Folkfest regularly has said that it feels crowded and busy and like more people than ever. And it's great to see a festival like this thrive, but it is, it's harder to get around. It's harder to get things like food and water and that kind of thing. And that's kind of worrying. But I think it's wonderful to see a festival like this go on that serves like over 85,000 people every weekend.
That is wild that there's 35,000 people here right now. But then you look out right now, we can see the hill, and yep, there they are. There's all 35,000 of them. So we've had a long day already. That started off with us seeing Black Umfolosi International. So that was one that I was excited to see. And I didn't exactly have to drag you along, but maybe it's something that you hadn't listened to much beforehand. So how did you like this?
Yeah, it was something that I wasn't familiar with beforehand, but we listened to it a lot at home, and it was nice to kind of get into it beforehand. And then I sat back towards the back of the stage in the shade, but it was still a party, and it was so much fun. And I was dancing in my seat a little bit, and it was so cool to see them dance and their outfits and everything. It was such a great show.
I absolutely loved it, but I think it's become clear when the more I come to Folkfest is that I love music of African descent. I love like Afrobeat, I love rock and roll, I love hip hop. I tend to prefer that lineage. Maybe there's something in the beat that I like a lot, but then there's a lot of fiddle music here too, and that's something that I don't like as much. So maybe some of that European tradition I don't catch on to nearly as much. So this one was very much in my wheelhouse. They are a group that's going to sing a cappella, but that doesn't mean that they're kind of one note or they do one thing, because they managed to bring so much into it. So they would sing and have these amazing harmonies, because there's 6 singers up there. They're all fantastic.
Doors of success open now. We are Black Umfolosi. Yeah, yeah. We are Black Umfolosi. We are coming soon. We are Black Umfolosi. Come on, everybody, come on.
But then they would do some other things. They did a chant, which to us just seems like rap.
Yeah.
That was great. I love that very much. They did some stuff that is more similar to what modern audiences call like stomp and like the step type music, and that was really fun. And they gave us some context, which I really appreciated. They were talking about how miners, when they couldn't communicate freely, they would do this series of like stomps and claps and songs to convey messages, and that was kind of what they were paying homage to. And then they also did The Lion Sleeps Tonight, because why not? They were just they did so much. So even though it was, you could say it's just a cappella and just singing, there was a lot of variety to it, and I just loved it. And I sat in the front row in the sun, and they kind of led us in some dances and of course some clap-alongs and all of that. So I was a big fan. They just seem also like super nice. We keep seeing them around there at the after party, so maybe we'll talk to them a little bit tonight as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we went to the Robert Finley concert, and it was a party as well.
Robert Finley's great. He's someone that the way his voice sounds on the album, which is fantastic, he sounds just like that in concert. So he lost nothing.
My best years are behind me because of my age, but I won't quit living till I'm dead in my graveyard. See, I made up my mind that I gotta be strong, even if I have to do it all alone. 'Cause nobody wants to be lonely. You know I'm telling you the truth.
And it was fantastic. So he's in his 70s now-ish, I think early 70s, and he can't see especially well, but he would make a point of showing that he could still move. He got up and like kind of danced and do some like kind of deep bends to show everyone like, no, I still got it. And he also would go out of his way to just hit on the audience as a whole. He was saying things like, oh, I can't see you right now, but I can hear a lot of beautiful women right there. And then he would sing a song about that. So he was great. And I'm also looking forward to, because we get to see him again tomorrow at the after party, and you know me and those after parties, I love them.
Absolutely. After Robert Finley, we got to see Dawes, and I may have cried. It was fantastic. It was everything that I wanted it to be. I always feel sad for the bands that get the like 5 o'clock or like the right after the sessions end spot, because people are like walking across the front of the stage, and like it's just like really transitionary and really like busy, and I always feel bad for it. But by the end of their set, everyone was transfixed and singing along and dancing, and so it was really nice to see, and I just loved, like, it's such a good show. such a good like start to Saturday night.
There's a lot of times I wonder if people love or hate playing festivals like this, because you can be putting on this great show like Dawes does, and then you also have like 20,000 people who aren't really paying attention, which it like has to be kind of disheartening, but also you're like, yeah, this is a festival and they could be here for any number of reasons, to see other artists, or like a lot of people just to drink outdoors. That's also a big draw. Or when a lot of these other artists are like, come on, everyone get up and dance. And Edmonton, I always talk about, we're not a dancey people. We, the two of us, are dancey people.
We are dancey people.
I'm a very dancey person, but as a whole, Canadians are not. And that's always tough for people if they're coming from Latin music or African music, where you'd expect people to dance, and here we don't, which is kind of rough. But that's the thing about those after parties. I got to go dance to some Orchestra Gold there last night.
Yes.
And we'll have some more dancing tonight because we get to see La Misa Negra,
Yes.
which I'm very excited about.
I'm so excited about that, yeah.
And Alpha Yaya Diallo, who I've already seen twice and you have not, so you get to see him for the first time.
I'm excited to see him tonight, yeah. I think it's going to be a super big party. And I just have to say, we're sitting and we can see the hill, and the candles are starting to turn on. People are starting to light their candles, and it's just such a beautiful sight.
It really is. Yesterday, I got some insider tips from you about a tarp run. And today I learned also about this secret economy that's going on here, because we are very fortunate. We are important person adjacent, so we get our meals covered and stuff, which is fantastic. So because of that, I don't buy food because I'm going to eat the free food, because of course I am. And thanks so much again to our benefactor, Rose Ginther, for letting us do this, and all of like the kitchen staff, because I was going and someone who was going to serve me there was like, hey, it's kind of my boss, or former at least. So maybe Richard's listening to this, so thanks all the kitchen staff and just volunteers in general. I kind of get why you hear so many acts thanking the volunteers, because like it's a big job. We used to be part of that. Now we're lucky enough that we don't have to be, but we will go back.
Thanks again,
so
Mom.
all the volunteers that make this, I guess this is the whole big Folkfest family thing that I'm starting to clue in on and starting to really appreciate, of all the work that people do, and like this labor of love. And it seems odd to say that something that's this big is volunteers and labor of love, but it really is.
It is like truly, we hear it described every year by someone as a small city, and it is totally a small city. It's got every level of volunteer doing every level of job that you could imagine, and it's just such a cohesive group, and it's such a beautiful thing to see, such a well-run festival. And it's just something for Edmonton to be proud of, for sure.
Oh, and on that note of it being a little city, I was talking about the black market trade that's going on. So you get served food on a plate, which is not revolutionary, but they're hard plastic reusable plates if you buy from any of the vendors. And if you return that plate, you get $2 back. So you kind of put a deposit on your plate. But then little kids come around and they don't have money, so they say like, hey, can I take your plate? I'll take it back for you, and then they get to keep the money. And I was like, oh, that's ingenious. These kids are doing some good stuff. They're making their money. But Sam says
they're vultures.
Sam refuses to give children the plates.
They're vultures, and they are ruining the festival experience. In my day, which I have said a few times, I was never allowed to do that. I was always off doing other things, but and my parents wouldn't let me collect plates. But
wait. So did you want to?
No, I was never interested in it. But I do remember them saying like, no, we don't do that. Like, if you want money, just come talk to us, and like we'll figure it out. But like, no.
So, as someone who just got money when they asked for it, you are angry at other children working for their money, is what you're saying?
No. Okay, so I didn't finish my story. Okay. In my day, they would give you $1 back. So
they split it.
Yes. So they would be picking up plates, and they would give you $1, and then they'd get to keep $1. And I think that is an economic way to do it, because you pay $2 to rent the plate, basically, and then when you return it, you get your $2 back. And in God, I sound like I'm 100 years old. In my day, you got $1 back. And that was, I think, a much more nice way. And now the other thing that I really don't like about it is that they are asking you before you're even done eating.
I'll give you that, just like at a restaurant.
You had a full chicken sandwich on your plate, and they were like, "Are you done with your plate?" I'm like, "No, go away."
That's a fair criticism.
That makes me really angry, and I feel like it takes away from being relaxed at a festival.
The other big thing that's a difference between you and I is every year we come to this, and I'm like, why don't we just go see music? And you are much more of a backstage chatter than a music watcher a lot of the time, but this is probably the most music I've seen you watch.
Yeah, you've changed me. I do love to just like chat with people, and it is an opportunity for me to see family members and friends and like people that I don't see all year round. So but also just important people. You like to talk to people who are famous and famous adjacent as well. So I think this is your time. You can name drop all of the people you've talked to. Like last week we did see the mayor of Calgary. We did see the mayor of Edmonton here. Yeah. Who else? We're standing in a lineup with Janice Irwin. And
Janice she doesn't even count. She's our like buddy by now.
If you don't see Janice Irwin, it's not even an event. But we got to talk to a lot of the NDP MLAs from Edmonton, which was kind of great. I got to talk to the head of Festival Place. I got to talk to the head of the festival, Terry Wickham, who is wearing the lanyard that I made him last year. And every time I see him, I get so excited. I talked to a bunch of people, and
including some directors of other folk fests, which maybe we'll get to go to one day.
Yes, last night I schmoozed with the director of the Vancouver Folk Fest, and I told her all about our podcast. So hopefully we can go to Vancouver, and she said, you guys should come. And apparently it's on a beach, so I'm in.
I probably enjoy watching the music as much as you do schmoozing with people.
Yeah, I think so. Also, like my mom and my stepdad are backstage, so I do like to have a beer with my mom and hang out a little bit, just to thank her for her largesse. But yeah, so we're having a great Saturday night. We're gonna go see the fantastic Negrito, who is someone that we got to see in Calgary, and so I'm really excited to see him again. And we're just gonna enjoy the festival vibes.
And we got coming up fantastic Negrito, La Misa Negra, and Alpha Yaya Diallo. I think we need to pick up our energy and start dancing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some vitamin C, and we're gonna go dance.
Are you under the impression that vitamin C gives you energy?
No, I have special French vitamin C energy tablets.
Oh, the C is for cocaine.
No. I think it's
a little vitamin C, if you know what I mean.
Caffeine.
Oh.
But it's time to pep myself up for the party. It's finally cool enough that I feel like safe. I'm not gonna die at some point.
We're all gonna die at some point, Samantha.
As soon as that left my mouth, I knew you were gonna say that. But we are sitting next to a teepee, and we're gonna go enjoy the rest of the night and just be happy.
Yeah, let's just go be happy. Hey everyone, join us. Let's go be happy. All right, my first recording was all about drinking the Kool-Aid and being a real folky. My second one was complainy. And I think for our third one, I'm just going to go about how great the music has been. Because that's one thing, I think we do talk about it, but sometimes with a festival like this, there's so many other things to talk about too. So last night, headlining was fantastic Negrito.
I gotta get away from you, baby, 'cause it's treating me so bad. The way you ain't looking, I'm gonna sneak out the back door. Out the back door. 'Cause it's treating me so bad.
Yeah, and it was just as good of a show as we saw in Calgary, and it was really fun to get to see it again when we kind of knew what was going to happen. And yeah, it was just like dancing constantly. Everyone was dancing. It was great.
I feel like Fantastic Negrito is someone who, on paper, I should love, because there's this mix of blues and funk and rock and all of the things that I'm really into. And I was listening to his studio albums, and I like them. They're all very good. But it's not until seeing it live that I think I love it. And it was the end of a real long day, but I went up there and danced as much as I could as well, because you can't not. Because if you say the music that he does on his studio albums is like, it's not this, but a 33% rock, 33% funk, 33% blues. On his live performances, everything is 66%. And if you're saying, hey, Indy, that's more than 100%. yes, it is. And that's why it's that much better. He just turns everything up. I found like the funk elements came out so much more in the live performance. And of course, that's going to be something that I'm real into. So I loved that. But then we hopped on a shuttle, and the dancing wasn't ending there. We kind of start going at like 10. Yeah. We take it easy for a bit in the evening.
Yeah, I didn't dance as much during Fantastic Negrito, but I danced in my chair because some mistakes were made with my shoes. But I was saving it all up for the party, and we saw La Misa Negra, and we danced cumbia all night, and it was so much fun. And then, who was after? Yaya Diallo? Sorry. And yeah, that was also just as much of a party, and we did call it a little bit earlier than we were thinking we were going to, but we had such a great evening.
La Misa Negra, I was saying when they did their main stage performance that they are a main stage band because there's so many of them. They play big instruments. And you know what? I take that back. Not that they weren't great on the main stage. Where this band should be seen is in a dance hall. It is dance music. And as great as it was seeing them on stage with, 30,000 people?
Yeah.
What's better was seeing them in this ballroom with 60 people on the dance floor?
Yeah, maybe 100, but it was packed and everyone was dancing, and she gave us a little tutorial on how to dance to this kind of music, and everyone was doing it. It was great.
That's my other thing that's very, very Edmonton, along with saying that people don't dance much. What they will do is if a performer teaches them step by step, they will try that and they will hold to it. They will not diverge at all. Another thing we notice is Canadian men will never put their hands above their chest. They're like, oh, I don't know, that makes you weak or something.
Elbows glued to your side, and then you move your arms from there.
Yeah, their elbows are pinned to their side, and then they'll only move.
Might come up to shoulder height, but nothing else.
I don't even think they do. It's rare.
Top, yeah.
So I dance like a harlot relative to Edmonton, man. I don't know, because I dance.
Yeah, you're very dancey, and I think you fall more into the lady category because we like.
You heard it.
Up.
I fall more into the lady category. Or if there's ever like a man from South America or Africa, then he's like, yeah, you and me, we get it, right?
Yes, the non-Canadian category.
But yeah, La Misa Negra was so good. Despite starting at 12:30 in the morning, we danced through their whole set. Well, you took some rest, but you had some foot troubles.
Yes.
Shoe choice. I have these beat up sneakers that look like junk, but I wear them to this because I know they will get me through the day, and they did. They kept me dancing until 3 a.m. So, yeah, La Misa Negra was so good. I had a chance to meet them, unfortunately, when Sam was in the bathroom. So I chatted with them, and it was very much like that Folkfest thing that I talk about a lot when we meet people is I just told them how much I appreciated their two sets and how that they brought the same energy for this room full of 100 volunteers that they did for the hill full of 30,000 people. They brought the exact same energy. They're not going to shortchange us at all, and how I appreciated that. And they are so appreciative because I have no idea the scale of the fame of a lot of these acts. So they just seemed super appreciative that I knew their music, and I had some merch that I was wearing, and I gave, well, not, I guess it's not merch because it's homemade, but then I gave them some, and they really loved that. And then Yaya Diallo, who I'd already seen twice and was a big fan of. this was great because you got to go right up front, and like a lot of these artists, I walk right up to the front, and it takes a minute for people to join me because someone has to start dancing.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm that someone now. I wonder, age-wise, we're in the middle of Folkfest people. There's a huge contingency of 60-year-old people. There's a huge amount of 20-year-old people. And then there's us in our 30s and 40. And there's not as many. So when I'm up there dancing at the front, I think I may have slipped from like, oh, there's like a cool party guy, to that's the weird old guy that dances.
No, you are not the weird old guy that dances.
I think I might be.
No, it's not that. I think the parties are unique because it's a safe environment for you to like let loose and have fun. So I don't think you're weird.
Well, thank you. At least if I'm going to be the weird old guy dancing, I'm the weird, well-dressed old guy dancing. So I got that going.
Yeah.
And I'm just a alpha Yaya Diallo super fan now.
Yes.
Oh, and I got to meet him, and he was super nice.
Yeah, he was super nice.
Yeah. Everyone, super nice. Oh, we are arriving for day 4, so we'll talk to you in a bit.
Let's go.
All right, so this is our 4th and final time checking in from the 2024 Edmonton Folk Music Festival. I think my first time was Indie Drinks the Kool-Aid. 2 was Indie Complains About Crowds. 3 was, hey, music is great. And 4 is, hey, this is great, don't ruin it. That's going to be my theme. So how did you start off your final day of Folkfest, Sam? Because we split up right off the bat.
Yeah, it was a day where we did not spend very much time together, but I ended up going backstage. It was a hot one today, so I felt like I needed to start off the day with a cold beverage and some shade. And I ended up making a bunch of friends backstage and ended up being introduced to a brand new artist, Nolene Hoffman, who I saw a little bit after that.
Tell me about her. I'm not familiar with that music.
So she is a country artist. She writes her own songs, and she is from the Drumheller area of Alberta. So she's a local-ish person, and her friends did a real good job of hyping her up. All I heard was how incredible she was. So she lived up to it, and I had a great time at that show.
So I think this is probably the most music you've seen at the Folkfest, because I remember complaining at like year 3 that we were on our 3rd year and you and I hadn't sat down and watched music together at a music festival, because that's not like your favorite part. You're more about the folks festival, like all the folks you can see.
I enjoy the visiting aspect. I enjoy the socialness, and if left to my own devices, I do a bad job of seeing music the entire festival.
And I do a bad job of being a friend because I see my friends and I go, hey, okay, see you later. And I keep going because I figure they have somewhere to go and I definitely have somewhere to go. So I'm more in it for sitting quietly and listening, which kind of checks out for the two of us. So the first thing I did is I went to a session stage where there were multiple artists playing together. And that one was Eric Bibb.
And my own way of walking, got my own way to smile, got my own way of walking, my own look and style, got my own way of praying, my own way to sing. Still I'm connected to you, everyone and everything.
And Fantastic Negrito and Miko Marks. And I know you like Miko Marks. We had seen her we saw Fantastic Negrito and Miko Marks in Calgary a couple of weeks ago. But it was kind of what sums up a lot of this festival. Great and then terrible things at the same time. So Eric Bibb was singing this song, and it was like a very quiet and somber song. It was about racially motivated violence. And the people behind me were just going like, no, I read on Facebook, they put stuff in your meat. That's what's making people trans. And they just talked about how I don't know if that's the government or the meat packers union, someone is putting hormones in your meat, and that is what is, quote, making kids trans. So that's the thing about festivals like this, right? The great thing is the community, and the terrible thing is the community. And that kind of sums up Edmonton as well. We are like, we love the arts, but also we hate colored people. We're a complex folk in that way. But fantastic Negrito, that's, I don't know, the fourth time I've seen him in the last 2 weeks now. So he put on a great show. I was very curious as to how he would be on a session stage, because he, I think more than anyone at this Folkfest, brings out like rock star energy. And Robert Plant was at this Folkfest, but he doesn't bring that energy when he's doing what he's doing now. No. Fantastic Negrito definitely does. So I was curious how he would perform, sharing the stage with so many other artists, and he came out with this, I assume, fake nervous thing. He came on and said, "I'm very nervous to be here today," and I think he was like doing a little bit of a bit. So, and he would like hide behind stuff, because I think he would find himself taking over the stage, because that's what he does. And after he would do that, he would go and literally hide, because he's like, okay, I've used up my kind of time. I'm doing my best to share the stage. But you could tell that he's a charismatic leading man, right? So that came through a lot.
Big personality on stage.
Yeah, he was doing this kind of like punk energy filtered through the blues. He had a lot of like call and response stuff. He had a lot of heavy stuff. And he did a literal mic drop at one moment. That's the first time I've seen an effective mic drop done. It was pretty great. And he would do this thing where, you know how on all of the side stages, people are just jamming and there's no real leader. And because of that, sometimes songs meander, and that can be great, but sometimes you're just like, okay, cut it off now. Everyone's done their solos, let's bring it to an end. He, when songs were getting to that point, when it was one of the songs he started, would go up to the front with his back to the audience and kind of conduct and would tell people to like bring it up, and now you finish. And he was effectively like throwing the music as if it were a ball. He would like take it from one and throw it to the other section, and the people would pick up on that. So he was picking up this ball of music and then taking it and passing it, and then he would throw it out into the audience for the end, and everyone would stop and the audience would cheer. So that was a lot of fun, him being like the maestro up there. I like that a lot. And there was this one point where Miko Marks was singing a song. I can't remember the chorus exactly, but it's something like, "Ain't no cheating man gonna make a fool out of me." And Fantastic Negrito would come on his mic and he's like, "Oh, yes, he is." And he would like argue a little bit. And then the more her song went on, it was like she convinced him, and then he would start backing her up instead of being argumentative. And then at one point, he ended up finishing the song. So a song that wasn't his, it was her song, but he had heard it being played for the last 3 minutes, and she throws it over to him, and he finishes her song. And I think improv some of the lyrics, but takes a lot from what she was doing. So that was a fantastic set.
It sounds like a high energy set. And the theme of today for me was definitely Smith is everywhere seeing everybody and almost no music. So after the Nolene Hoffman concert, I went and had some drinks in the beer tent with my dad and some friends, and we had a great time. It was very rowdy. I met some new people, some new friends at the picnic table we were all sharing. I think there was like 9 people sitting on one picnic table, so it was a squishy time.
I came and visited you, and despite being at a music festival, that was the loudest moment of my festival. I couldn't stay in the beer tent with you because it was too loud. I needed to go sit front row of a concert to get out of the noise. It was so much, and just so many drunk people shouting over each other. I couldn't deal with the noise, so I left and went to a concert instead.
It was definitely loud and everyone was definitely drunk, but it was nice to get to see my dad and Nicole, and then we headed off to main stage for the final night of our big concerts, and we got to see the Heavy Heavy, which was one of my things that I really wanted to see. It was a little acoustic, a little like rock-ish, and they're from the UK, and they put on a great Sunday night set.
I think this band fell into the unfortunate time. Essentially, it's at a time when a lot of people are moving and getting settled, and I feel like that makes it that they don't get their due. And unfortunately, I was kind of like part of the problem. I was just getting there. We had things going on. It was at dinner time, so I watched it, and I did go up front for the end of their set because I was like, I haven't listened to this properly, so I need to go up and dance for a bit. And they were doing great work. I just wish it had been a little bit later. It was still in the heat of the day, and I guess that's the downside of festivals like this sometimes. Sometimes there's a band you really want to see, and then you are just exhausted, and it's so hot by the time it comes around that you don't give them your full attention, which I apologize, Heavy, but I've been listening to you guys, your studio work, so at least I got that going.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard part of the day. And I think I said when we were talking about seeing Dawes yesterday, it was also the time when you're catching everyone from your tarp up on your day and what you saw and like people you're seeing for the first time of the day. And yeah, it kind of sucks that their time is always taken up by just people like visiting and moving around. So yeah, I would like to see the Heavy when everyone is like more situated on their tarps and tucked in for the evening. And then we got to see Danielle Ponder, and she has such an incredible voice, and she's one of those voices that make you like stop whatever you're doing and just listen. And it was such an amazing set.
Who's gonna shame my name? Who's gonna feel my pain? Ain't no choice but to be brave. To the ones who give praise, take a bow as the sun. Edmonton Folk Fest, how you feeling? This song is dedicated to Black women all over the world. It goes like this, peace and love to the ones who give praise. Take our bow as the light is the face. See me now, I'm loud and proud. And to those who feel each them to hate, what a pity to be locked in that place. I know, well, they see me though. Well, you see the sun don't shine 'cause you want it, and the breeze don't blow regardless. Well, I'm here to stay. Well, I'm here to stay. And all I want is to be myself with no problems. So we don't want problems.
And because I felt remiss about the previous act, as soon as they were done their mic check, I went up front for her set and was glad I did. And this is another one where like people around you kind of like, it's hard not to get your good vibe ruined by people, but people really really try. Because I don't get why you would push right up to the front of the stage and then turn around with like your 8 closest friends and have a yelling conversation because you can't hear each other over the music. There's places for conversations. It's in the back.
Mm-hmm. Go stand anywhere else.
But she was fantastic. She was someone who, right when she came out, kind of commanded the stage, despite her in-between kind of banter being about how she was kind of nervous because she wasn't expecting a crowd of this size, and it was a huge crowd. Of course, it is Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. It's the audience that we get at the Edmonton Folk Fest that is the biggest draw of this entire festival. So most people were here for that, but she gets the spillover, and then there's people like me and you who actually kind of prefer her. Yeah. So I was really excited about her, and she delivered. I was curious how it would translate live because, you know, she uses a lot of those kind of like loops and trip hop type stuff, and now is with a live band. And of course, yeah, it sounded amazing. And her own stuff, of course, was great, but she did a couple of covers that I just really loved because she did War, the Bob Marley song. Yeah. Again, this is great, but people keep ruining things for me. So when she's doing the part of good over evil, the refrain that it repeats good over evil, some asshole had to start going, Trump, Trump, Trump. And I'm like, we're not even in that country. And are you saying that he's the good or the evil? I don't know. Just shut up, though. Wow, that's probably a good thing to do. And there's also like one guy who kept trying to start a clap, which sure, but his bit was like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna do a funny bit. I'm gonna turn around and do a clap and then like really badly time my clapping, and it'll be like, oh, I'm flustered and nervous and I'm gonna do a funny bit at a concert. Don't do a funny bit at a concert.
It's not about you.
Yeah, it's about the person on stage and everyone having their own thing. So shut up, I guess, is... You know how you had all those good tips for Tarp Run? My good tip is shut up. If you go right to the front of something, it should be proportionate to your desire to see that artist. Yeah. Don't go to the front if you don't care about it. Yeah. And if you go to the front, you need to either be paying attention or dancing. Yeah. Those are your options. I need crowd police. Yes. Not for like safety, like, hey, you're being unsafe, but like, you know what, you're being kind of a dick. Yeah. You're in this person's space a little bit. Hey, you're a little bit taller, take off the hat, things like that. But Danielle Ponder was great, and I was very happy about that, and I was very happy about the reception she got from the crowd, because also, like, Edmonton's not the most outgoing to visiting musicians a lot of the time, so it's great that she had a good time there too. But that brings us to, perhaps not for us, but for 95% of the people in Edmonton, the headline of this entire festival.
Yes, we saw Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. And I know my mom was just like living her dream. And she said, my life is complete now, that when we went and saw her after the show. And I know Charney was super into it, and everyone was up dancing and watching. And it was an impressive show. I know, like, I didn't know their music super well and wasn't like the most excited for it, but I can appreciate that it was a really well done show.
And Jay was like watching his face. I was like, oh, see, this is... Because I appreciate Zeppelin, of course, because, well, I have 2 ears and a soul, don't I? So, like, of course I love Zeppelin, but because it was so much before my time, I don't have this idea of Robert Plant as being this, like, star. Because I know Zeppelin after Zeppelin had come and gone. So I don't have the same reverence for him, like the same way of if someone's in one great band, I don't automatically love whatever else they do. So Zeppelin's great. I just don't really know Robert Plant's stuff outside of it nearly as well. There's like 5 songs that he does with Alison Krauss that I actually know, and that's about it. Yeah. But they did do some Zeppelin-y stuff, so that stuff was, of course, fun for me and for the audience too. As much as everyone was like, yeah, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss, I don't think they actually knew the music either, it seemed like. Because whenever they would do something Zeppelin, that's when they'd lose their mind. And whenever he would sing in a slightly kind of like belted out Zeppelin style, people would lose their minds. And that was a lot of fun because being in a crowd of, I don't know what it was this day, 30,000 people,
35,000 people or so all outdoors on a hill for this long, and when everyone is losing their mind, it can't help but be swept away in that as well. So they were great. He still sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Alison Krauss, I don't know as much about, so I can't say she still sounds fantastic. I can say she sounds fantastic. But for Robert Plant, someone, a lot of singers, especially in the style that he does, if you were doing that in 1974 or whatever, you're probably not able to have that control in 2024, but he does.
And walk the night alone.
Dance in the dark of night. Sing to the morning light.
Down road right, it falls tonight, and time will tell us all.
Ooh, throw down your pounding hoe. Rest on up your hoe.
Side by side, we wake the mind of the darkest hour.
So, and that was the finale. We went and sang Four Strong Winds, of course. And then maybe we do a wrap up. How did you feel about this Folk Fest? And do you have your annual Folk Fest moment?
Yeah, so I'm sad that it's over, and I had a great time. I think this was one of my favorite folk fests, and I think my favorite moment was probably getting to see a new artist, Nolene Hoffman, and hearing her talent, and just like making some friends backstage, and getting to also talk to one of my favorite artists who I found at a folk fest many, many years ago, Rose Cousins, and I ran across her backstage and I gushed all over her for a little bit, and she was just so nice and so appreciative, and yeah, that was kind of my like little moment where I got to be a fan of someone to their face. So yeah.
I guess we always have to do the roundup of the people we met and how nice they were, but I think I'd already talked about Misa Negra and how they were very appreciative. I ran into Robert Finley backstage, and I got him I had a CD with me at the time, so that was lucky, and he signed that for me, and he kept going like, so, but what are you selling? And I was like, no, I'm just a fan. He's like, of mine? Are you like selling me something? He's like, no, I just like your music a lot. It was great. I'll see you later. And he's like, oh, okay. He was just thought that there was going to be a second step to me saying how good his show was, that there would then be like, hey, now buy this. And I also got a chance to talk to fantastic Negrito, and he was a nice guy and just told me to keep supporting indie music. So, you know me, I am indie music. But I think my favorite moments were probably the two. One, the entire session that was Orchestra Gold, Black Umfolosi, and Alpha Yaya Diallo, because those were three artists that I'd each seen individually and thought like, ooh, any one of these could be my favorite thing. And then they all played together, and that was in fact my favorite thing. And I talked about that a lot already. And then my other one was seeing La Misa Negra, first having seen them on the hill with 30,000 people, and then seeing them in the small ballroom.
That was a fun show.
And getting to dance right up there, because that is dance music, and that's my thing, I guess. I kind of forget that I dance more than 99% of Canadians. Because I've traveled a lot, and I was never like an especially dancey person, but that's because other countries are much more dancey than we are.
Yeah, you definitely are faster to get up to dance than I am, and as much as I had fun dancing, I definitely like don't immediately gravitate to get up and dance. But that was such a dancey show and so much fun.
To be fair to you, I don't think that's because you don't like to dance as much as it's a 4-day festival where you walk a lot, and I do that kind of stuff a lot more than you, so I think your feet were kind of getting there by the end.
Yeah, I was definitely, after like a 12 or 15 hour day, not really wanting to be on my feet a whole bunch more. So yeah, I definitely was trying to like preserve my foot health so that I could make it to Sunday and be on my feet all day.
And then maybe that's my other tip for folk festers. Dress up, dress fancy. You can look good, but make sure your shoes, it doesn't matter what your shoes look like. It matters that your shoes do the job. So my shoes look like junk. I do dress fancier than the majority of people who are at a festival like this, but my shoes look like junk, but I am still dancing at 3 a.m. on day 4. So I guess it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wore my comfy shoes Sunday, and by the end of the day, my feet were tired, but they weren't in a super large amount of pain. So I think that's a win.
Not in a super large amount of pain at the end of a night is a win every day. Well, I think that brings us to the end of another folk fest. And I say this every year that after the first 2 days, which are half days, I'm like, how this is going forever. We'll never make it to the end. And then the next 2 days, which are full days, are gone in a whirlwind.
Fly by. And yeah, I was like, all day Sunday, I was a little grumpy because it was so hot. And I was like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm going to get sunstroked at any minute. It's going to be like bad. And then all of a sudden it's 4 strong winds. And I'm like, no, but I want all of the days back. I want to go and do it all again right now. And yeah, so I feel like this is a festival that kind of lives in my heart all year long. And I look forward to it every year.
I guess we didn't say that. Did we say we saw Robert Finley in the after party? He was at the after party and we danced a bunch there, or at least I did at that point. But yeah, Sunday just is kind of a day you just get through. But then by the time the sun sets, you realize like, okay, this is the last day. So I just went up front for every musician that I could and made the most of it. So I think it's one of those years where I'm not like, oh, I should have seen this. I should have seen this. There are things I did miss out on, but it was always because I was watching something else. I never got to see J.D. McPherson, who I was very excited about, but he played guitar with Robert Plant. So I kind of did get to see him in a way. And I don't know if that's his job or he just got put on there, but what a get if you're some artist, and he's not just like, oh, just some artist, but like an artist playing a music festival in Edmonton, and then Robert Plant calls you to play guitar for him. Like, hey, just step in for Jimmy Page for a sec. No big deal. Okay. Wow, so that must have been something. Or maybe he just tours with him and then opened on his own as well. I don't know. Either way, that was fun. And yeah, just a great festival. The busiest I've ever seen it in my life. Would you agree?
Yes, and I believe after talking to some of the organizers that this actually was a record-breaking year and the most people that have ever been on the hill. So I love to see a festival like this grow and be interesting to new people. I talked to a lot of people who it was their first folk fest or their first day at folk fest, and I'm always excited to give some tips and encourage people throughout the long days.
Oh, and then this brings me to my other tip, which is part of this podcast too. I did hear a bunch of people going to a stage, and I usually would be there and sitting up front, and people would go like, oh, have you heard this before? And they'd say like, you haven't heard of blank blank? Never approach something like that. I would be like, oh, you're in for something great. Here's what I like about them. Hope you enjoy it. Don't, for movies and for music, never start off with oh, you've never heard of them?
Yeah, don't belittle people. Don't belittle people for not knowing an artist, because we're all there to hear new artists and like to experience things for the first time. So don't be a jerk.
Yeah, and just like with movies, when you were like, this whole thing started, episode 1, The Sixth Sense. Yeah. I wasn't like, you haven't heard of The Sixth Sense? It's like, oh, you haven't watched it? This is so exciting for you. What a time you are going to have. Be excited for people. And don't be a jerk. All right, anything else to round things out, Samantha?
I'm already missing it, and I'm really sad, but I'm so tired. I put my compression socks on the moment I got up this morning because my feet were just so tired. But yeah, I'm ready to go again next year, and we'll see you on the hill.
See you on the hill. Thanks, Folk Fest.
Thank you. Bye.
Good time.